Hey, so I made this for you because I've got a hunch that you're feeling like giving something up, and it's not something that you actually really want to give up, and you've been working towards it, and you've been doing your best, and you've been motivated, and yet there is something about right now, this energy, this time, that you just want to be free of any of the weight that goes with it. Not even the responsibility, it doesn't feel like responsibility, but any of the grind that goes with it. And it feels like you've been pushing water uphill for a while. And I'm totally there with you. So I made this video today because it really feels like you actually need to give yourself a break. And I've been tuning into this, obviously, for my own stuff and for clients. And it actually feels like the real wisdom in this whole moment, and whether you give stuff up or whether you don't, I can't tell you the answer. But what I can tell you is to be able to step away and give yourself a moment, give yourself a break, is probably the breathing space that you need. There is a heaviness to the energy right now that's asking us to stop like gripping on with, it's like kind of that fingernails kind of gripping on type feeling. And it's a strange energy. It's one of freedom, potentially, and it's one of development, and it's one interesting outfit for a forest walk. The energies, the word that comes to mind is pregnant. The energy feels pregnant, like the last stages of carrying a child. So it's heavy, it's uncomfortable, there's no going back. And so if you've carried children, and if you're here with me now, chances are you're probably a mum when your children are a little bit older, flying the nest, etc., or have flown the nest already, and you're wondering what's next for you, and how does that play out into your future, and how are you going to, whether it's make money or how are you going to find purpose, and all of the important things that kind of having kids has ticked all the boxes for you in the past. And it's not now, because it's down to you. And with it being down to you, it's a completely different feeling, and it's one that you haven't felt probably ever before. And it's part of kind of, this midlife awakening thing, but it's also, and it's about you coming into who you are, coming into the real depth and the core to be exactly who you want to be, who you feel totally aligned with. It's that version of yourself that you've been kind of pushing away, you've been stalling on, and you haven't been allowing out into the world. And it's a huge risk. I totally get it. And put the window down a bit because it's getting a bit hot. It's a huge risk to step into that version of you, because it doesn't feel like there's any safety net other than the universe. And when the universe is your only safety net, although it's kind of the biggest safety net that you can imagine, it's also terrifying because you can't see the evidence of how you're going to make it through. And that can be really frightening. But it's also, if you've been looking for freedom and looking for everything that you're creating, or maybe it's that next job that you want, everything that you're looking to create is to create this sense of freedom. And it's that last little jump, that last step, which is basically the key to changing everything, but it's also the most frightening one to take. And a bit like, again, at the end of childbirth, you have to go through that process. You have to let go in order to allow this new life to be born. And for you right now, it feels like you have to let go of what you've been told what the rules say, what's been expected of you, what other people have found to work. Because if it hasn't worked for you yet, there's a reason. And that reason feels deeply to me like it's because it's not your true authenticity, your true purpose, your true calling, that you've been holding something back. And I know you would fight me to the ends of the earth to say, but I haven't. I've been giving it my all. I've been giving it everything. And I get it. But if you're not where you want to be yet, and I know there's a lot of us feeling that right now, if you're not where you want to be right now, all I can say is there is something that's holding you back, like pulling you back almost. And I actually think it's it's kind of the feeling of chucking it all in the air and just going, you know what, just fuck it kind of thing. And I think that's going to be the linchpin that will now set you free. And it's really scary. I totally get that. I can't give you the rule book. I can't give you the instructions other than to say, if you get really quiet with yourself and you really tune in and listen to what it is you need to do, you will know. And I just know that you will know in your heart. Or tune back to that 12-year-old, 7-year-old you, probably 12, 13, when you could see yourself, you kind of pictured yourself with a more, like, almost like you wanted to live this grown-up life. And if you go back to that person now, you'll find that there is something in there, there's a spirit in there. Because the thing is, you've got to remember, your soul doesn't age. Yeah, our bodies age, the world around us looks like we've aged, etc. But your soul never ages. Your soul knows what you're here for. And if you haven't stepped into that yet, and you are feeling this calling that there is something more, it's because you haven't stepped into what your soul has been leading you towards, sending you signs of, sending you nudges about, and it's time. And that's the energy that we're in, is so it's almost constricting. Going back to the whole birth thing, sorry, gets a bit gory, but it's almost constricting. You've got to go through that birth canal. Let's not get too graphic here, but there's something you've got to let go. You just have to let go. Now, that can be done through breathing, through emotional release, through shaking therapy, through a lot of forest walks. You know, why else am I out in the forest on a weekday afternoon? You've got to let that go. And it's funny because you might be noticing that there are signs coming through to you, things like songs, old songs. Just like the other day, I was in a perfectly good mood, just going about my day, doing what I do. And then 2 or 3 songs came on the radio, and of course, you know, older songs. And I was absolutely, just this wave of feeling came over me. And it was like I was taken right back to when my kids were little, tiny. And then before that, something else came in that took me even further back. And it was the reminder that if you're not where you want to be right now, there is constant reminders coming from your soul. We want to say whether it's coming from God, the universe, spirit, whatever you want to call it. Excuse me. But there are constant reminders for you about your path. Now, if you've been with me for a while, then you know, as far as your path, like career-wise goes and finding your purpose, I've got, resources to help you with that. But it feels more than that. It doesn't feel just about the work that you're here to do. It's the relationships that you need to be honest about. It's your responsibility to yourself, you need to be, you need to step up for. It feels like you're being called into the most honest, vulnerable, kind of naked version of you, so that you can you can totally be set free, actually. So there are no more limitations, no more restrictions on you. And anything that you've been trying to live up till now, again, if you're leading the life you love, the chances are you're probably not still here on this video. But if you are right on the edge of giving something up, or that feeling of you don't actually know what the next steps are, so all you can do is cling on to the old because of everything you've put into it, or because of the work you've put into it. I mean, it could be a business, could be a job, could be raising your family. You're clinging on to that, and you're so reluctant to let go because the future looks void. It looks empty, and the only thing that's pulling you forward is some element of trust or knowing of that's where you need to be. And there is no plan, there's no structure. You can't make a list, like a to-do list of what needs to happen, other than the only thing is about feeling each day. And the only kind of work you can do on this right now is to let go, is to release. As I say, in whatever way you feel you can do it. It could be journaling it out, actually. And if you have been getting those signs, for example, like I said the other day, the music just, it lifted me straight back to 20 years ago, and then 20 years before that. If you've been getting signs like that, so for example, like a friend of mine is going through a big project right now, and she's also doing decluttering of her house. So decluttering obviously is a hugely emotional, it's a big clear out, physically of course, but energetically it's big, and emotionally it's big. And she's, as a result of everything that she's doing, she's having to give up some other stuff. She's wanting to let some other stuff go. And I don't think she actually realised quite how big this project was that she was doing with this house decluttering. And the same thing, if you are doing 5-6 jobs or 3 jobs or whatever, you're doing all these projects and just trying to keep all the plates spinning, now is the time that you'll probably find some of it's falling away anyway, but now is the time that you're actually going to find, if it's too much, then let it go. And be okay to sit in the stillness, because it won't be still for long, I promise you that. Be okay to sit in stillness just for a short time, because I truly believe that the energy we're in right now, as I say, it's so pregnant, it's so, ready to birth, that if you actually sit still for a short time and stop trying to do everything, you'll probably get clarity a lot quicker. And I truly, genuinely believe that that's what we're being called to do. Now, I haven't made a post like this for ages. In fact, my podcast started out more like this years and years ago. And then I started to be guided, follow rules, follow more of a structure. When I say rules, I mean, following more of a structure and, what the gurus told you, and you were taught to do this and taught to do that. And it's come with some good success. But there is still a part of me that knows this isn't it. And just like you, the only thing that is almost feels left for me to try down this particular path is to do this sort of post with you, just to share with you what I'm sensing, what I'm feeling, what I'm seeing around me, and what I'm experiencing myself. Because as an intuitive, if I'm not trusting that, then it undermines everything else that I offer. It undermines all my education, all my training, all my social media. And that's where I think this energy is so pivotal. There is kind of the one thing that you're resisting, or that you don't think will work. How could it work? It's just you. And I truly believe that that's the thing that will change everything. So I invite you to play with that, and I trust that it's going to, you are going to have to go inside, do some self-reflection, but I think that's what we're being called to do right now. It's not comfortable, but as they say, you know, is it freedom's on the other side of your comfort zone, or whatever it is, the treasure's on the other side of your comfort zone. Everything seems to be on the other side of your comfort zone, and right now you're kind of, you know, you've got to birth yourself through your comfort zone. Never thought I'd say that in public. Anyway, so that's all I've got for you today. Let me know if that resonates. I'd love to know what you're experiencing and what you're thinking about. Do I give up? What am I ready to give up? What am I not ready to give up? And what am I clutching on to? Okie dokes. Lovely to see you. Thanks for being here. And now I'm going to head out into the forest. I send you so much love, and I'm so grateful that you're here. And just as I finish off, it's 15:55. Okay. Love you. Bye.